Right now at 11, the Ducks fly through a whiteout and come out the other side victorious.
Just to play in this kind of game, it's a blessing for real.
We are on the ground at Penn State after Oregon's historic win in double overtime. But first, breaking tonight.
And you've heard it clearly from the governor and the mayor and others today that we are in support of peace for Portland.
Calls for peace and for the president to stand down after the White House makes a surprise announcement. It's sending in the military.
People across the state and across the political spectrum here in Oregon are uniting together to peacefully oppose policies that they do not agree with.
We don't want our retail hospitality and vibrancy to be impacted like we've seen in Washington, D.C.
Good evening, everyone. And first at 11, what you might call a unified voice today along the Portland waterfront after President Trump announced he is directing the federal government to send in, quote, all necessary troops and authorizing what he calls full force in the Rose City. Thanks for joining us. I'm David Molko. In his post, which seemed to take Pentagon officials by surprise, the president called Portland, quote, war-ravaged, and says troops are needed to protect the city, particularly at federal facilities, including that ICE facility on the south waterfront. And we have been getting call after call after call this evening from neighbors in that area about this, what appears to be multiple helicopters overhead. This is just one of the many videos sent in by KGW viewers as we work to confirm who is operating them and where they came from. Let's give you a live look on the ground now. Our John Adams keeping an eye on things from behind the camera here. So John, what are you seeing right now?
Well, David, we can definitely confirm that we have seen a helicopter circling this facility, going back and forth over the last 45 minutes or so. It's been a few minutes since I have seen it. But the crowd here, we heard reports earlier today that there are about 30 people out here. There are probably closer to 100 or more right now. People slowly just filtering into the area, people playing music, some standing in front of the facility, as you can see right there. But I would describe the crowd overall right now as peaceful, but you know, just standing around and observing what is taking place here at the ICE facility. But the crowd has definitely grown throughout the night. A mix of some folks even wearing you know, Oregon Ducks gear that look like they may have been watching the game earlier tonight. But as of right now, as things stand here at 11, still a large crowd outside of the ICE facility near the waterfront in southeast Portland. David?
All right, so an unknown helicopter circling overhead, no sign of the military on the ground. A crowd of about 100 there, largely peaceful at this point. John Adams and his team on the ground. John, stay safe out there. We really appreciate it. You know, over the course of the day, we've seen a largely united front from Oregon's leaders at all levels, the vast majority opposing the president's order and pushing back. Corey Johnson has more.
Governor Tina Kotek said she had a call with the president this morning. This after the administration sent an invite for authorization to send troops here to Portland. Now, the governor says she has not responded to that request. She says right now her office is working to make sure it's clear to the federal government and Oregonians what's happening in Portland right now.
We do not need or want federal troops in Oregon stoking fear, creating conflict.
Oregon Governor Tina Kotek alongside Portland Mayor Keith Wilson held a special press conference Saturday afternoon in response to the Trump administration's push to send military troops to Portland. The president taking to Truth Social Saturday morning, saying he's sending the National Guard to what he calls war-ravaged Portland, an effort to protect ICE facilities against domestic terrorists.
When you go out to Portland and you see what's happening in Portland, this is like nobody's ever seen anything like it.
Labor Secretary and former Oregon Congresswoman Lori Chavez-DeRemer thanking the president for the announcement on X, saying in part, "I've seen firsthand how lawlessness has transformed Portland from a beautiful place to live to a crime-ridden war zone." But other state and local leaders are calling it unnecessary. Kotek telling the public she had a call with the president Saturday morning and explained there was no need for guardsmen. And she, along with Mayor Wilson, have not requested governor assistance.
And I also said to him, we have to be careful not to respond to outdated media coverage or misinformation that's out there. We know what's happening in our own city.
Imagine if the federal government sent hundreds of engineers or teachers or outreach workers to Portland instead of a short, expensive, and fruitless show of force.
Oregon Secretary of State Tobias Reed, Attorney General Dan Rayfield, and Senator Jeff Merkley urging Portlanders to not take the bait. So far, the president has deployed troops to Los Angeles, Washington, D.C., and most recently, Memphis. Each time, the administration's use of National Guardsmen facing scrutiny and questions on whether it violates constitutional rights. Right now, it's still unclear exactly when the president will send troops here to Portland. Governor Kotek said during that phone call she disagreed with Trump. However, she said they ended the call with him saying, "We'll continue to discuss this." Back to you.
Corey Johnson, there may be a silver lining that conversation is continuing. We also heard from House Republican leader Christine Drazan, who called out the governor, saying her, quote, assertion that there is no national security threat and the mayor's assertion that everything is fine is tone deaf, end quote. Drazan saying the city needs order, again pointing specifically to that ICE facility. Meanwhile, leaders say what is happening near the South waterfront is a far cry from the protests of 2020. Over the past few months, we have seen small-scale nightly and mostly peaceful protests, and yes, occasional vandalism, violence, and arrests. Libby Dowsett took the temperature of Portlanders in the neighborhood earlier today.
Now, it was much more calm this morning when we hit the streets, but still plenty of people with strong opinions about the president's statement, especially those living in the apartments right across the street.
My daughter, who's in Montreal, sent me a text that Portland was being invaded by federal troops.
But what Peter Morris found when he rushed to the ICE facility in Portland's South waterfront this morning was this: not even a protester.
There's foolish politics, but other than that, nothing's going on.
Sia Wright and her daughter Reese also came to check out the so-called action.
Oh, my mom said that we should come drive down here and look at it.
Is there any escalation? Is there more down here than what we've seen before? And there's not. I mean, it's a beautiful Portland morning. It's sunny, it's quiet.
Sia's grandmother is Hispanic and was separated from her family as an infant. And her grandfather was a Japanese American who escaped internment during World War II. So she says the issues of immigration and family separation are personal.
Just leave us alone.
Just leave everywhere.
Yeah.
People living across the street from the ICE facility at the Gray's Landing apartments say they just want the noise and violence to stop.
We've had quite a few rough nights over the 3.5 months now.
One woman who asked us not to show her face says sending federal troops to Portland will only make it worse.
I worry about it escalating things and more people being involved and it just getting out of hand.
Another resident welcomes the addition of more security at the site. She says some protesters cross the line when it comes to taunting ICE personnel.
Threaten them, get right up in their faces. I mean, you can only take that for so long. These guys are doing the job they were told to do, and all they're doing is lining up to let cars out.
Cindy says she was raised to respect authority.
I believe in our right to protest. I do. But protest without lies. Protest without violence. Martin Luther King managed to do it. Why can't they?
In Northeast Portland, Reverend Mark Knutson at Augustana Lutheran Church is preparing a prayer service Monday to bring the community together in peace. He says the idea of federal troops cracking down on protesters is the opposite of the church's teachings.
I'm appalled. Look at Portland this morning. Peaceful. People are going, they're taking their kids to the park. Other people are afraid to go to the park right now. We have members from 23 different countries. They are fearful.
He says he also feels for troops forced to patrol their own cities, but he believes we all must stand up for what is right.
I feel for people who live close to there, of course. That's got to be hard to have things going on, but it's not because of the people who are coming, it's because of what's there and what that symbolizes. And it symbolizes the worst of this country.
Libby Dowsett.
It's Libby Dowsett reporting there. If you'd like to hear more from local and community leaders as questions swirl over where, when, and how many troops the president plans to send, all at this point unanswered, we made it easy for you. Just text the word RESPONSE to 503-226-5088, and we will text you back with a link to the very latest.
Aller, sideline. Oh, it's picked! Dylan Thieneman calls game.
I would not have believed it if I did not see it with my own two eyes. A historic catch to end a nail-biter of the game as the Ducks make an interception in double OT and fly to victory against Penn State 30-24. Art Edwards with me. Art, this is going to be one we remember for a long time.
Well, there's no doubt about that. You know what? First overtime victory in Dan Lanning's career.
So good, so sweet,
man,
right?
It was really something else. You know, Penn State had to rally from a 14-point deficit in this ball game in the fourth quarter. They tied the game with 31 seconds left on kind of a tricky short touchdown run that tied the game at 17. Both teams scored in the first overtime, so it went to the second OT. Great play by Dante Moore on the pass to Gary Bryant Jr. They had to go for two, but the attempt failed. So that set the stage for the Oregon defense to call game. Dylan Thieneman drops back. He picks off the pass. Oregon wins it 30-24. An epic win on the road for the Oregon Ducks. Orlando Sanchez was in Beaver Stadium for all the action.
Very rarely do games like this live up to the hype. A Big Ten championship rematch, a top 10 matchup in front of one of college football's most iconic atmospheres. With the noise deafening, the Ducks delivered in crunch time, adding another signature victory to the Dan Lanning era.
More than 111,000 fans, a whiteout for the ages. The second biggest crowd in Beaver Stadium history. The Ducks' first true test of the season.
It's a lot of things that come into a big game, and playing on the road, 6-hour flight, playing a whiteout game. It's things that you pray and dream about as a kid.
They were pushed to the limit in a double overtime thriller. Big plays when it was all on the line. From game-winning TD to a game-sealing interception.
Picked it off and it didn't feel real in the moment. And then I kind of just got up and started running. I didn't really know what I was doing.
And they fought. We just talked all week. It's about getting a cut, right? And it's death by 1,000 cuts. We just had to get another cut. And eventually that cut was going to be a jugular, and that last interception was a jugular. It was as proud as I've been of our team playing well on both sides of the ball.
Emotions were high after putting it all on the line in one of the most anticipated games of the season. To be in an environment like this, This is what every player dreams of. And to be able to step up and have a moment like this, what does it mean to you?
It means everything, man. Penn State brought it. I was impressed. Offensively, defensively, in the crowd, they brought it, but the most physical teams wins, and we won it today, but we'll see these guys again. They're a good team.
We create these moments in practice every week, no matter who we go against. And we got good players on the team. Dylan Thieneman, Dante, they're going to come up in the big moments and make plays. And it's just to play in this kind of game, it's a blessing for real.
This was the Ducks' first top 5 road victory since 2021, and the first under head coach Dan Lanning. The 5-0 Ducks now enter the bye week and get some much-needed rest, and then it's on to undefeated Indiana at Autzen Stadium. Reporting from Happy Valley on the campus of Penn State University, Orlando Sanchez, KGW Sports.
One lucky guy there, right there in the middle of it. That first half, there was no room for anything. Second half, totally different story. We got to talk about the fans, though. I know the whole newsroom was on edge, so were folks watching the big show at Grand Central Bowl in Southeast Portland.
After the Ducks broke through in the second half, things were really upbeat, and then the tension kind of ratcheted up again as the Nittany Lions forced it into overtime. And then that moment that we have been talking about with that interception, sending folks through the roof.
Everybody is cheering. I mean, this place is probably the loudest I've been to.
Really enjoy it. Love the ambiance. Birds of a feather, we flock together, right?
This was the premier matchup of the season at their house in a whiteout night game. Everyone on ESPN saying that they were going to win, and we didn't allow the environment to mess with us at all.
Oh, it was close, though. It sounds like fans in Dan Lanning will have a little bit of time to decompress.
Yeah, just a little bit. They're going to need it because the game with Indiana is going to be on October the 11th, as we've told you. Okay. But it turns out the Hoosiers are pretty good because they are ranked number 11.
They can worry about that tomorrow or
That's
next
right.
week, right? Thanks, Art. I really appreciate it. All right, let's take you outside on this Saturday night where we are celebrating something else, the end of a gorgeous day that felt like second summer. Meteorologist Joe Ranieri, I know you're loving it. So, Joe,
I am.
How long is that high going to stick around?
It's going to be sticking around for tomorrow, and then comes the low, and that low is going to be on Monday with a series of fronts that will start to move on shore, bringing in showers, and those showers carry over into much of next week. But I want to focus on tomorrow, and there will be some areas of clouds to start things off, but I'm expecting to see temperatures anywhere right around 75, 77 degrees. I'm actually going with 77 degrees for the daytime high tomorrow, just a few degrees shy from what we saw earlier this afternoon. Yeah, for late September, sitting at upper 70s, low 80s is a pretty nice day, and that's definitely what we saw earlier this afternoon. Downtown Portland right now, we're looking at temperatures in the low 60s with clear skies. And coming up in my detailed forecast, David, we could be seeing some of those rain showers carry all the way in from Monday afternoon all the way into Thursday afternoon. And I'll let you know how much rain is in the forecast coming up in a few minutes.
Oh, here it comes. Thank you, Joe. KGW News continues in just 90 seconds with a police officer placed on leave after they apparently put a suspect in a neck hold. Plus, after a startling explosion at a food cart pod, the new community efforts to help small business owners rebuild. Stay with us.